Hey guys, and welcome back for another content of Ragnarok M Classic. As we are getting close to the release of this game, I have prepared something that you guys are always requesting, and that is the class tier list. But before we proceed, I just want to tell you guys that this list is based on my opinion regarding the CBT that I have played. And I have been reading a lot of opinions in the Discord community and gathered them all in one place. So I came up with this list. Even so, take this with a bit of grain of salt. I will also organize this list into categories for PvE and PvP. So let's start off with the PvE. First is the RK or the Rune Knight. Rune Knights are easily S tier for many reasons. They can dish out very high crits with auto attacks and their dragon breaths are so strong. So you won't go wrong picking this class. Next is the Royal Guards. They are also in the S tier. They are not really that strong in dealing damage when compared to RK, but they can be very essential in parties since they are the only class who can tank really hard against strong bosses in every instance. Next we have the Warlock. Well, I could say they struggle a bit in single targets since they rely mostly with their AoEs when grinding. And this version we will mostly do single targets with power leveling. But in instances, they can be very strong in dealing with crowds, but not so hard hitting for the boss monsters. So I will just put them on the A tier. For the Sorcerer, I will rank them on the S tier. This class might be one of the best class in this current meta because of the Silk Robe and Tidal Shoes combo. I have a guide in my channel and we clarified things out with the help of our community, so you should check it out. Next we go to the Archbishop. Well, obviously they are in demand on every difficult instances, even though they struggle a bit in grinding, but still I would place them on the S tier. Best support in the game. For the Shura, I would also rank them in the S tier because of how good this class in hunting MVP with their Asura Strike and Gate of Hell. Next is the Mechanic. I would say they are one of the best classes in the PvE since they have the weapon perfection buff and they will be very in demand in parties in every raids. Also, if they buy the Genos Master skill, they will certainly be much better in PvE since this skill is very strong in dealing with crowds. Next are the Genetics. They are very F2P friendly with builds but can also dish out a lot of damage and are also good with soloing instances because of their summons. Also has heals and other utilities, but in my opinion their damage can't be on par with other DPS classes. Still, they are very useful class, so I'd rank them on the A tier. Now for the Ranger, it is easy S tier. We all know that Rangers are so flexible in grinding and also doing MVP. They can deal a huge amount of critical damage and they are ranged normal attackers. Still, one of the most popular classes in this game. Next is the Performers. Not really sure if I would put them on the A or B tier. I know they are really good at AoE with their Severe Rainstorm and the buffs they give with the party, but their damage is just average when compared to other DPS classes. Still, I would rank them in the A tier because they can do both supporting along with dealing damage, which is good for parties. Now for the Guillotine Cross, I would say they are strong in terms of DPS, but if I will compare them to the other S tier DPS, they will be lacking a bit. Not really that high as they can still compete. So in my opinion, they are on the A tier. And then lastly is the Shadow Chaser. Chasers have a mediocre damage if compared to other classes. They can deal high single damage with their triangle shot, but it needs a lot of investment, which will take longer time for F2P players. The Mana Trap is also nerfed, so I would place them on the C tier. So there goes my list for the PvE. Now let's move on to the PvP. First is the Rune Knight. Well, they may be strong in terms of damage, but still they are a melee DPS with an average HP, which will make them a punching bag for other classes, especially in large-scale PvP. So for this matter, I'd put them on the A tier since they can still cast Dragon's Breath from a mid-range. Next we have the Royal Guard. Man, this class is so tanky and their sacrifice damage also hurts in PvP. They can also build a reflect type which is so annoying when I'm attacking them. This class is a juggernaut in PvP and I can say for sure that they are S tier. Next is the Sorcerer. Like I've said, they are one of the meta classes, so it's an easy S tier even in PvP. They can shred your MDef and can also convert your armor into water, which negates the property of your armor card. That will give them more advantage to deal wind damage to your character. For the Warlock, they can be S or A tier. They have this one burst skill, the Tetra Vortex, which deals massive damage that can one-hit a target. They also have some good defensive skills like the White Barrier, so I'm thinking they should be an S tier. For the Archbishop, they are still in demand, especially in large-scale PvP. But for solo PvP, they are not really that strong. Still, because they are very needed in parties, I would rank them in the S tier. Next is the Shura. Of course, this class can one-shot players if built correctly, so they deserve an S tier spot. If their Asura Strike is on cooldown, they can dash out and also do some crowd controls with their Curse Circle, which is very useful. For Genetics, I'd put them on the S tier. They can heal, summon plants to attack incoming targets, especially in War of Imperium, and these plants can also detect hidden enemies. And also they can sabotage your equipment, for which they can do so many things. For Mechanics, they are still good in PvP as far as I know. Above average but not really that strong. But maybe in War of Imperium that Genos Master skill will be a good use. But as of now, I don't see Mechanics that strong of a contender, so I'll just put them on the A tier. Now for the Ranger. I know you'd be surprised or disagree, but I've played this class in Eternal Love for how many years and also observed the other Rangers in my guild. I could say that only pay-to-win Rangers can compete, but F2P Rangers are mediocre in PvP, especially in the late game. So in this case, I'd put them on the B tier. For Performers, they can support the party, give buffs and heals, and even do some area crowd controls while dealing some good amount of damage. So I'll give them a proper treat and rank them in the S tier. Next we have the Guillotine Cross. They will suffer the same fate like Rangers because auto attack crits here in PvP are not really that strong when compared to skill damage. They may have the advantage of hiding skills, but they will struggle to kill enemies because they are melee and squishy. So in my opinion, they are also in the B tier along with the Rangers. Shadow Chasers on the other hand might be better than Guillotine Cross in PvP as they can cast mana traps while hiding. Mana traps were nerfed, but still it is good, especially in large-scale PvP. And they can also strip your equipment, which gives them the upper hand. So I'll put them higher, maybe A tier. So there goes my tier list. Like I've said, this is just my opinion after playing the CBT. Things may change when we get to the official release and more builds are going to appear that will change the meta. How about you guys? Do you agree with my tier list? You can comment down below if you have your own tier list too. If you find this video helpful, then please leave a like. Also subscribe to support my channel. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe and have an awesome day. Lights out.